Well, hi guys, LT here, and if you thought that I was going to reinstall Star Wars Battlefront 2 in order to get some new gameplay for it just for this video, you are gravely mistaken. So, recently EA DICE have announced that they have completely overhauled the progression system of Star Wars Battlefront 2. There was an event recently where this was showcased for some YouTubers, and they've removed the crate system for any items that are essentially gear related, and now anything like that is unlocked with a more standardized linear skill points system. This in theory repairs the broken system that was the crates bullshit fest. Now my first question when I saw this was, why? Why? Because anyone who already unlocked items gets to keep them. This isn't going to be a clean start. Why? Because who honestly cares what Star Wars Battlefront 2 does at this point in time? And why? Because this must have been a bastard to do at this point in time in the game. Reworking a progression system post-release? Who does that? The answer from my point of view, with cynical glasses on, is that EA DICE got burned so hard from the nonsense that was the loot crate debacle, that they realised they had to try and save face somehow. This is that somehow. Now to my mind, overhauling a progression system at this stage is a total waste of time and effort, in terms of actually benefiting the game anyway. The only thing that it does benefit is their public relations, or well, the tattered remains of them anyway. I will say that to the developers themselves who made this fix happen, fair play. You know, getting this work done post-release must have been a major pain in the arse. So just to give EA some constructive deniability moving forward, so, you know, good job from the devs in order to get this into the game. But this is what it's really about. This overhaul for Star Wars Battlefront 2 is not about making the game better for the player base. For such a chaotic nightmare of a game anyway, at this stage changing the progression system is about as meaningful as closing the proverbial stable door once the horse is well out of sight. It's just not going to make a damn bit of difference. What this does do though is it gives EA some nice constructive PR. Something to say, hey guys, look, we are doing it. That thing we did, let's not think about that anymore. Quite honestly, this loot box debacle for Star Wars Battlefront 2, it ranks up there with something like the Kendall Jenner Pepsi ad in terms of logical stupidity. You could have literally asked any gamer, what they thought about the Star Wars Battlefront 2 loot crate system ahead of time if they'd actually been open and honest about it from the start, which they were not. They waited until the last possible minute before it actually kind of became clear what was going on. And unless they were literally in the pockets of EA, they would have told you from the beginning that this was one of the worst concepts to have so far made it into a release, unless you count something completely appalling and off the radar like War Z, but definitely not up in there a AAA release. The real story here is one of immense arrogance and contempt. EA held you, the player, in so little regard that they put in place a system that they knew was there only to bleed you. It only existed as bait to grab the extra money from the player base. The Star Wars loot crates held zero constructive value to the game. They didn't give you a wonderful option to choose between whether you want to grind or whether you just access that stuff. They exploited you, plain and simple. So backtracking at this point is like making an apology after you've been caught banged to rights and are just awaiting sentencing. It's weak lip service. So yes, it may be cynical to read this update as nothing more than damage limitation, but that unfortunately is exactly what it is. This update makes no sense to me at this point in time, other than to allow EA to try and gain back some thin line of, well not trust, but let's say hope from its audience of players. And why? One reason: Battlefield 5. They know full well that this will shadow that release of future games. Even if they make it very clear, they know it's probably going to have some impact. It's going to be still clear in people's minds. And so they are trying to obviously get people back on board ahead of time by doing something like this to say, hey guys, look, we're making positive changes. So don't worry about that terrible thing where we tried to fuck you over. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it. Now, that's really all I have to say about this. Maybe I am being too cynical, but I don't think so. Tell me what you think down below, guys. This is Luton.